Thank you so much. I always appreciate you leaving comments. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Hello to all of my loved ones. How are you doing? This is Love Marlene 411, and welcome to this week's Sip and Chat. And I am excited that we are here for the final sip and chat of this year because we will not be doing a live next week and the week after because of the holidays. So I know you guys have been supporting this channel. I believe this is our, let me see, like 95th episode of the Sip and Chat. It's so amazing to me that we have been doing the Sip and Chat, myself and Miss Nexie. I believe it's 2 years now. So that's very exciting. And we're going to be talking today about, like we always talk about, this channel is dedicated to healing our inner child, healing ourselves and being happy and having enough courage to do that because it really and truly does take courage to to do the right things. It really does take courage to show up for ourselves and to say no to toxicity. And I know that there are many of my loved ones out there that it took them a while, just like myself, to finally say no to toxicity, toxic relatives, toxic relationships, just saying no to it. I'm proud of me and I'm proud of all of my loved ones that have been a part of this journey in growing, not just growing up, but doing the right things for yourself. So, welcome to this week's episode of the Sip and Chat while we wait for my wonderful co-host, Miss Nexie. I always have to ask you guys what you're sipping on. If you have not already, go and get your beverage, whatever that is, your coffee, your tea, your adult beverage, your soda, your water, whatever it is that you're sipping on, because this is going to be one to really talk about because I don't know, but I feel that a lot of people are very afraid to talk about mental health. They're afraid to talk about boundaries. And really, what I believe it is that people are afraid to set boundaries and afraid to remove people who are affecting our mental health because that was my thing for a long time. When you are around toxic people for such a long time, relatives or friends or a romantic relationship, when you're around toxicity, you are the one that has to say, I don't have to take this. I don't have to put up with it. And then, act like you know your worth. And that's not an easy thing. Hi, Chill Will Crew. Let's see, who else did I miss? Hi, RYU Raiden. How are you doing? Welcome in. Happy Thursday. So, it really does take a lot of courage to do that. It took a lot of courage for me to finally say, I'm going to do healthier things that regardless of your past, regardless of how your parents were, how your previous romantic relationship was, is for us showing up for ourselves and saying, I'm an adult. I'm in control. I'm responsible for my peace, for my joy. And this is a big part that I didn't get it to all of my loved ones. I didn't understand that I had to make a choice to want to heal, because any of you who have ever been through some traumatic things, people treating you inferior and slighting you and backstabbing and cheating and abuse and all of those things, if any of you have ever been through that, sometimes when we have been through things like this for so many years, or it's all you know, um, that's all you feel like that's all I deserve. And that was a new thing for me to step outside of that and saying, I don't have to be a part of toxicity. I don't have to be disrespected. I don't have to keep allowing disrespect. So show up for yourself. Block people. You literally have to block people, just like on social media or on your phone. You literally have to block people, or they're going to keep taking advantage of you. They're going to keep disrespecting you. And that's one thing that I don't talk about things over here that I am not doing in my own life. And it took me a long time to come to the space to say, yes, even if you are my sister, or you could be anybody in my life, if you're acting up and you don't treat me right and you're disrespectful, I will block you, because I don't play when it comes to me. And I think that is a lesson for so many of us. We have to learn how to treat ourselves. We have to learn how to respect ourselves. All of that. The full the full thing. Showing up for ourselves and not being embarrassed or not being ashamed to say, I will show up for myself, and not feeling like, oh, I have to do what everybody else wants to do because that's their comfort zone, or the people who are unwilling to treat us right. And I feel like I'm really talking to somebody right now, so I'll slow down a little bit. Sometimes we get so accustomed to being abused. We get so accustomed to people not showing up for us. We get so accustomed to disrespect. We get so accustomed to what society thinks we should be, or what is quote unquote right according to other people's eyes, that we lose touch of who we are, of what we want and how we feel, and if our cup is filled up. Now, I'm not a perfect person, and none of us are perfect. But one thing that I do know for sure is I learned that when I am tired or frustrated, or people are pulling my energy, not respecting me, now I know healthy boundaries. I know that it's time to cut people off. It's not like I didn't know that before, but the thing about it is enforcing it and loving myself enough to say they'll never change. Now we all know people like that. I'm going to give you all some time to think about who some of those people are in your life. Could it be your siblings or parents or alleged friends or coworkers? It could even be somebody you're dating or married to. It could be your children. It's anybody that we know that they don't respect our boundaries. They don't respect our feelings, our opinions, and they treat us in a way that we don't like. And they make excuses for how they treat you. Oh, I'm having a bad day, or, this is my personality, or whatever it is. The excuses just is not going to work anymore. The excuses don't fly anymore because let me tell you all, loved ones, life is too short to spend even one moment being angry, being upset, being frustrated because people don't know how to hold their tongue, or they don't know how to be supportive or be a listener or be there for us like we have been there for them. So that is one thing that I had to learn, to start pulling back from all of the things that I give. And I naturally am a giving person. I naturally am very kind. And I'm the sort of person that when I love with everything that I have. And I don't have any problem giving everything to everybody. And something that I had to learn recently is to stop giving everything to everybody and hold reserve some things for myself. And no, that doesn't make you selfish. No, that does not make me selfish. It means that we love ourselves and we have enough confidence to assert ourselves and to handle our financial responsibilities and to take care of our mental health. Now, let me tell you all something. If we don't take care of our mental health, there is nobody that is going to do that for us. And that was something that I had to learn when it came to working because, bills don't stop. We all know that. But also at the same time, we have to learn a balance. You see why this is a mindset shift, learning when I need a vacation, I need a mental health day, and then giving yourself the permission to do those things so that you can be okay. This is a really important conversation that I wanted to have with the loved ones, and something that I'm always constantly still working on. I'm still working on how I show up and filling up my cup and taking care of my mental health and asserting myself, speaking up for myself, and not forcing myself to be places that I don't want to be at. So that's a real thing right there. Only be places where where you're growing, where you're prospering. And I think that's something that's very important. Go where you're loved. Go where you're poured into. Go where you are appreciated. So I did want to say that to everybody. I hope that the people that are around you are they listen to you and they support you and they're caring and compassionate, understanding all of the things that you need. Because I'll tell you guys something, being a person that experienced burnout. And when I mean burnout, I mean literal burnout to where your body and your mental health completely goes down. Because if you don't take care of your mind, body, and spirit, listen, you're going to go into that mode where your body is going to try to protect itself, your mental health is going to try to protect itself, but it should never go to that. It should never go to that. But unfortunately, sometimes we just keep thinking, oh, I have to work. I have to do this for this person. I have to do this for my kids or who you're in a relationship with, or yeah, I have to do these things because a lot of times we have been conditioned or raised that way, that we have to do all of these things for everybody and we completely forget about ourselves. We forget about your needs, you forget about your wants, your goals, your health. You put everything on the background for everybody else, but who is showing up for you? Who is giving you that respite care? Who is showing you love? So that is why this conversation is so important to me to have with all of you loved ones, especially the end of the year. We're going into a new year really soon. I can't believe how fast 2025 passed by, but it's giving ourselves the permission to say whatever happened yesterday, or even if it was many, many years ago, giving ourselves the permission to face the things that hurt us and to let go of the things that is not serving a positive purpose in our lives. And I got to pause right there for that, because if we really think about it, what things in our lives that are we doing that is not serving a good purpose? It's not helping us. Actually, it's running us into the ground. We feel unheard. We're not seen. We're not supported. We're not respected. You're taken advantage of. So that's one of the things that I promised myself that I was not going to continue to do. Um, One thing for sure is that we have to stop volunteering ourselves for things, because I'm notorious for it. I'm a work in progress. I'm definitely not perfect, but I have to work constantly and tell myself that it's not my responsibility to fix everybody's problem. It's not your responsibility to fix everybody's problem. We have to let people make poor choices. We have to make other people make bad decisions, because if we always help everybody out, if we're always supporting everything everybody needs, people will never learn how to be independent and not depend on you for everything. And that is a recipe for the burnout that I was talking about a little bit earlier. I had a really bad burnout in 2018, a really bad burnout. And it was because I was not showing up for myself. Everything, oh, yeah. I was definitely the yes woman. I was the yes woman with my family. I was the yes woman with my friends. I was the yes woman with my coworkers. But if you're always saying yes to everybody, how can you ever say yes to yourself? You can't. You get yourself behind, that eight ball. Like you can't ever catch up to do the things that you want to do. And even when I would have my time off still was involved in helping other people. So it meant that I needed a reset. I needed to unlearn some toxic habits and some toxic behaviors that I had, and learn that no, I can't keep showing up for everybody but me. I can't always be last. I have to choose myself. And that's a thing about discipline. We have to learn how to not only discipline ourselves, but also we train people how to treat us. And if people feel that they can ghost you, disrespect you, run over you, do all kinds of things to you, and you just keep taking it and allow for them to be in your life, then they'll keep continue to do it. So who needs to be making changes? Us, you, me. We are all a work in progress, or at least we should be a work in progress. That's always been my mantra for every single year, that I'm constantly seeking to improve the quality of me, the quality of my mindset, of my spirit, of my health, of my finances, of my spirituality, in order for me to elevate to the person that I deserve to be, the person that you deserve to be. It's a personal thing, it's a you thing, it's a me thing. We each have to be putting in some work in order for us to prosper, in order for us to have improved health and wealth. If you are always doing for everybody, when are you ever going to get a chance to take a deep breath and to focus on how you are doing? That was a new concept for me. Coming out of a very toxic romantic relationship where I was never, poured into. You know, sometimes we have those relationships where we're doing all the pouring into them, doing all of the support, all of the checking in, all of are you okay? But what about the checking in for you? And what do you need and how can you be there? But like I said, everything is in hindsight. In hindsight is 2020 because if I had known at the time that I should have been doing more, I probably would not have been in that relationship and probably would not be the woman that I am today. So, one thing about trauma healing is taking what happened to you, and then giving yourself the permission to move on, to let go. And that's a wonderful thing for us to do, is to give ourselves that permission to heal, to grow, to improve, and to be our best self. So that's what I wanted to say to all of you. Give yourself the permission to be your best self, to be happy, to be joyous, to love yourself, to respect yourself. You're the only one that can do that for yourself. Nobody can make you happy. Nobody can make you do the right things. Nobody is going to do those things until you actually say, this is my life. That's something that I had to do for myself, that this is my life. And I'm giving myself the permission to live it. So, to all of my loved ones, to anybody who is listening, anyone in the sound of my voice right now, if there's something in your life traumatic that has happened, or maybe it's something that maybe you don't like what's going on with you, maybe with your health, or maybe how you're spending money, maybe you're spending money on people, maybe you're the local bank for friends or family. Maybe you're not taking care of yourself physically. Maybe you're not taking care of your mental health. These conversations, these podcasts is not about, you know, making you feel embarrassed or to make you, but whatever. It's nothing like that. This channel is for trauma healing, for us to look at ourselves as mature women and as mature men and saying, some of the things that I am doing, that's the accountability part. Some things that I am doing is not good for me. It's not helping me to grow. It's not bringing me peace and making changes, making positive shifts. See, people may not understand what I didn't understand before therapy is that I was responsible for making positive shifts. And what most of the time we do is we blame. Yeah, at least I know I did. What I did is I blamed my siblings, I blamed my parents, I blamed my ex, I blamed this person, I blamed that person instead of looking at myself. See, accountability is a real thing. And until you get there in your life, you're going to keep doing every single thing that you don't need to do. See, it takes courage to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need to be treating myself better. I need to be loving myself better. I need to be showing up for me. So that's the thing. Show up for you, love on yourself, and learning to be patient with your own self. I will tell all of you that we have to learn how to be patient with ourselves. I think that is so important. Hold on a second. Yes, I think that's something that is so important. Is that for each and every one of us to do what we need to do for ourselves, and that's the mature part. That's the healed part. Oh, I see my wonderful co-host, Miss Nexie is here.
Hello, Miss Marlene. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Sip and Chat. So, Miss Nexie, we're talking today. Did you see the title?
Yes, I did, ma'am. Yes, I did.
Okay, okay. So today we're talking about good mental health. I was talking a little bit before you came in about the bad mental health, the things that were very, very toxic, and we're going to try to make some positive shifts so that we do have some good mental health. But I want to hear your thoughts, Miss
Well,
Nexie.
I only use my toxic mental health, and don't we reserve that one for Thanksgiving dinner? That's when I use mine. Sorry, I had to go there. Miss Marlene, the, I went on a trip. I don't know if I told you, I went on a round trip um, to TJ last week. I, had to go buy some things and kind of deliver some presents to my friend and his wife and their kids, whatever. So I took the train over there. And the train, we only advanced a couple of cities because once we were going on our third city, a young man jumped in front of the train that was going ahead of us.
Mhm,
And no surprise there because it's the holidays, right? A lot of us, are going through things that nobody knows we're going through because we're sometimes are raised in families that don't be discussing our business outside the household.
mhm,
We're sometimes raised in families that we cannot express our feelings because they're dismissed. Oh my God, you're such a crybaby. Oh my gosh, get over it. It's not a big deal for them. It might be, but for you it is. So when that happened and our train stopped and they told us it will be at least another 6 hours before we can take off, so we had to look for other means of transportation to our destination. I was so sad. I was so hurt and so sad. And it wasn't because of our train and our derailment or whatever it was that, I was going to have to look for other ways because I resolved that. There's always a solution when you're alive and kicking, as they say, right? But I was so sad and thinking, what what happened to this young man? Like, how was he pushed to the brink? Why was nobody there to help him with whatever it is that he was going through? And it's thinking of the mom and the dad and the siblings and if they have a significant other, and going through the holidays with that pain is brought me right back to 2020, right, when the pandemic was in full swing. So I was thinking that sometimes, because of unhealthy family boundaries, because I will say, it is unhealthy. We have family that push us to that last point because we don't put them in their place, because we don't stop their abuse or unnecessary comments, or we don't, our family doesn't do anything to put them in their place. So we have that aunt, that uncle that has no filter and will insult you, or will call you out on certain things. So it's always around the holidays that everything just explodes. And we find ourselves sometimes, if let's say somebody of our family members, one of our family members died, or our parents or sibling, whatever, we find ourselves alone in a holiday that is all about family.
mhm. Yes, Miss Maxine, I would add to that. When we say family, we don't always mean relatives, because it's a lot of times. our relatives are the reason for our bad mental health.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're the ones that
Exactly.
have to make choice to change that, though.
Yeah, and again, we have had the past 5 years have been very trying for a lot of people. We've lost loved ones, family, friends, extended family, through a pandemic that we weren't expecting. Was horrific, right? And we have had to deal with a lot of loss. So I'm thinking, I was thinking at that point, and I'm thinking now, maybe that was, like a domino effect for this young man. You know what I mean? Like maybe he lost people, or I don't know. But I was so sad. And I am the type of person that even if my children tell me there's nothing wrong, mom, it's okay, I'm fine. No, it's okay, I'm fine. There's nothing. Don't worry about it. I continue to ask and I continue to poke that bear, even if they get upset, because I know that eventually they're going to understand that I'm here to listen, to do whatever I can. And I do the same thing with, friends. I sometimes push a certain someone to tell me what's wrong with her. Even though she
Um,
says there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine.
talking
Anyway,
about okay,
no, no, another Marlene that I know. Because
okay.
I I have had those moments. I have never ever, Miss Marlene, tried to have had that thought of unaliving myself. Never. I've never been to that point. I have been saddened, depressed sometimes, with no money, back when I was younger, with probably a place. I wanted a place to live, so I could get out of the place where I was living at because it wasn't healthy. But I have gone through a lot of, turmoil in my life, but I have never been to the point of where I think that unaliving me, it's the solution. Or I have gotten to the point where I say, you know what, I'm done living. I've never been there, but I know that some people get there. And a lot of people
Worthlessness.
say they're weak, they're this, they're that. And it's not that they're weak. It's not that. It's that sometimes living is terrifying and is tiring.
Yes, Miss Nexie. You're talking about, your experience and things, but I can say, yes, I was one that definitely did attempt to unalive myself on multiple occasions. And when it comes to that, like people will say, "Oh, she must have been crazy." No, I was traumatized. There was zero support and
Hmm.
things like there's a lot of reasons why it's not because people are crazy. It's because sometimes the pressure of being invisible in a world full of people, it's like you just melt into the background, like you're just you know you blend in with the walls. It's like you're not there. The people who should be there are not there. It's many reasons that I know that many people feel like I used to feel. But the thing that helped me with that is for me to not expect for people to be what they can't be.
Hmm. Exactly.
Um,
And
helped
exactly,
me
Miss
with
Marlene. Go on, go on.
yeah, therapy helped me with that reasoning because before I used to think that people had to fit into my mold of my life. They needed to change to be in my life when no, they shouldn't just be in our life, period. If a person is not good for us, then why do we want them there? So it was
Y-
me really to work on mindset and what I felt deserve because a lot of times we feel like we have to take this.
Miss Marlene, I want to go off on something you said. You said because people that I love weren't there for me, right? And I had a friend, Miss Marlene, when I was young back home. We were good friends because she was probably like a couple, 2 to 3 years older than me, but we
Mhm.
became friends. We lived in the same what should I call it, like block, probably a block after mine. But we lived in the same little block system. And so we became really good friends. We grew up together. We were doing all kinds of, she went to one school, I went to another, but we would get together on our way back and walk to school together and walk back. So we were good friends. And when, before I came here, because I came here when I was 17, before I came here, she was probably 18 because it was a year prior to me, coming to this country back home. She unalived herself.
Mm.
And eh, you're young, right? You don't understand why in the world will this young girl do that? What kind of like heartache did was she going through? And I didn't know. I had no idea what she was going through. And from that day on is when I started saying, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to poke, poke, poke until you tell me what's wrong to see if I can help or at least to get it out of your chest, just tell me. Talking sometimes helps because when you lock yourself in your head, that's when sometimes you commit things, like harming yourself one way or another. But you said something that reminded me of this, because I learned later on why she unalived herself. And I'm telling you, I learned that 20 years later. But you said something about the people that you wanted to weren't there for you. And you probably had a lot of people around you. And I had a friend that I will ask her, is there anything I can help you with? And, or she will be like, I feel so unloved at home, so unprotected, so this, so that. And I'm like, but I love you. And she will tell me, but the person that I want to love me the most doesn't care for me, never bonded with me. And that was her mother. I
Mm.
want her to love me. I need that. I need to see it in her eyes one day. I know everybody loves me, she will say, but the person that I want to love me the most is not there for me, has never loved me like my father does. And for some weird reason, she will say, I need that love. And I don't understand why. And I will think she was crazy. Like, oh my God, this chick is crazy. Like, who cares, right? Because I was raised by a father. Like, who cares? But I understood as I grew up that, yeah, you can have people around you that love you, but there is someone that you love with all of your heart that you will love to have that love shown to you. And until that happens, or until you learn that that person will never, as you said, be able to give you what you need, as I learned myself too, because they're not capable of doing it, as my therapist said, um that's when you let go of that want and that need, and you can be happy. You can literally be happy, be okay with that person never loving you, never caring for you, never bonding with you, right?
Mhm. Right. One thing that I learned with that Miss Nexty and my healing and, coming from having low self-esteem and all those things, it was all tied in to the way that I felt about myself, Miss Nexty. This was key. The way I
Yep.
felt about myself was a reflection in the people who loved me. And when I actually learned how to love myself and that I was good enough and I'm worth it. I no longer needed certain people's love because I knew how to give love to myself.
it, exactly, but Miss Marlene, not everybody gets to that point where you can say, you know what, I don't need anyone. A lot of people are afraid of being alone. I am a solo player. There's no I in team, and therefore I have never joined a team. Because I am my own friend, my own best friend, my own cheerleader, my own consultant, my own everything. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I'm very comfortable being alone. I'm very comfortable, doing things by myself now. I wasn't before, but I am now. And that doesn't mean that I needed to have a lot of friends or things like that. No, I just wouldn't dare to do certain things because I was scary cat, but not anymore. And thanks to me, someone I now can eat alone without a problem. Like, yeah, I like this. And so a lot of people from fear of being alone or fear that they're not going to have that companion and the need for having someone, they go through life with sometimes people that don't love them and they know that they don't love and they know that, but because of that companionship they stick around, they stay around these people. And as growing up for me, I grew up seeing that women that were getting mistreated by the husbands, husbands having mistresses and doing things like that, and the women will stick around and have kids and I never understood, and they will be so depressed. They wouldn't get themselves nice and pretty. They didn't get their hair done, they didn't get anything. We were poor, but we could still get those things done, right? You save up and you do it. But these ladies look so defeated by life, and from that point on I said I am never going to be that person. I have to be okay with whatever happens in my life, but I have to make sure that after taking care of everybody else, that was my mentality. After, I'm going to take care of me. And that's the thing I had to change, Miss Marley. Not to take care of everybody, but take care of me first so that I then can turn around and help everybody else.
That's a learned behavior, though, Miss Nexie.
Hmm.
We Every single one of us has to get to the space where we learn, like, before everybody else. Because how I grew up, it was like I would just jump out of bed and I'm helping this person, I'm helping that person. Oh, you eat, help them get your clothes on. And then, Miss Nexie, you should see my hair is standing up. There's no personal care. I'm thirsty. I want something to eat. And then I run out of the door. And it's what are you doing? So that new habit, I had to learn how to start showing up for myself first. So even if everybody was coming to me, hey, I need your help, I said, hold on there, stop sign. I got to take first and then I'll get to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but again, a lot of us don't learn that we are enough for ourselves, that we don't need anyone else's approval. A marriage is something that is of two people, right? And you both go in with, okay, we're going to make decisions together for certain things, we're going to do this, we're going to do that together. But once that is broken or done with, you have to relearn the being on your own. That decision making is all yours, whether it's good or bad, right? It's all yours. And to take care of yourself. And again, Miss Marlene, for me, because I had that mentality, was very hard. Not that I cannot be on my own, because I love being on my own since I was little. I love that. But because they all the time they tell you, like, you have to be married, you have to have a husband, you have to have kids, you have to have all these people around you, because that's the way we're brought up, right? A lot of times, it will overwhelm me to hear everybody talking, to be around, surrounded by so many people. So because of that, sometimes you end up with people that, with someone, a significant other, that is not the best choice, but is the only choice you have at that point when you want to get out and whatever. So coming from that I had to make all those decisions, and I don't regret it because I have four beautiful kids. I don't regret any of it. But sometimes you end up with someone that, instead of helping you overcome whatever, and be a better person, and make and help you grow, nice and healthy on your mind, because you come from turmoil, you sometimes end up with someone that diminishes you and makes it worse for you, right? Those toxic people that have no idea and don't care about your mental health, your well-being. They're toxic, they're horrid. So when my marriage ended, which it was many years ago, 16, 17 years ago, I promised myself I will never get remarried ever. I am going to work on me and I'm going to keep on going and try to be less around, try to be around less toxic people. Have a healthy group around me because at this point, I had already gone through therapy, Miss Marlene, and I was doing all of these good things for me. And so it was hard for me to get away from toxicity because sometimes we have it in our immediate family, but I
Mhm.
learned to say, no, I'm not going to that party. And no, you cannot come here and celebrate your son's birthday at my house because you just get up, leave, and you leave me everything, all the cleaning, after the party to myself. So no, you can't do that anymore. So I learned to say no. I learned to stand up for me. I learned that, hey, I'm no longer married to this person, so I don't have to put up with all this, right? And the toxic atmosphere in my house disappeared.
Mm.
Yeah, it disappeared. And I started working on, kind of building myself up. Because as you say, sometimes maybe you're not raised with self esteem issues. But again, you sometimes fall with someone or end up with someone that creates those self esteem issues on you.
Yeah, Miss Nexie, that's the thing that a lot of people just don't understand that part. That it I used to have a very low self-esteem. And it wasn't because I didn't think I was a good person, or think that I wasn't a good looking person, or things like that. But it was because of other people made me feel that way because of their own insecurities, their own doubts, their own problems. So what people were doing is dropping their baggage in my life, and it got too heavy for me to carry everyone's baggage.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
To be able to no, that's keep your own problems. I got my own over here, and if you're happy, if you're unhappy, then you know that's not
The,
my fault.
there's nothing you can, exactly, there's nothing I can do. It's not my problem. It's not my fault. And again, Miss Marlene, especially around the holidays, right? We have to come in contact sometimes with, family members that we probably don't see for the entire year, but we get to see them around Christmas. And sometimes they're not our favorite people, but we have to deal with them because the people around us do not care on the way we feel about those people, or they don't care if they're making us, if they're belittling us in front of everybody or making us uncomfortable in front of her. They don't care because it's family, so you have to put up with it, which is what, a lot of us were told growing up. And the thing is, when I started celebrating Christmases and everything alone after my separation, I learned that Christmases could be so lovely. We'll put Christmas music, we'll put our Christmas tree, the kids will wrap up their gifts, I will wrap up their gifts. My little guy loves Christmas, so he'll be like mesmerized with the tree. We have dinner, we had a peaceful dinner, and then everybody will say, hey mom, we're gonna go say Merry Christmas so and so. So we'll see you later. I will just say be careful, drive carefully, and don't drink and drive. And I'll see you guys after midnight or whatever. And I learned that I was able to cook, have a great meal, help my kids will help me clean up, and then I was able to go to bed like around 10:30, 11, and not have all that cleaning to do after. So so I learned to have a peaceful holiday without any toxicity around me. Once I learned that within 2 to 3 years of us splitting up and not having to deal with extended family, I was thinking like, why didn't I do this before? And say, everybody, you celebrate your Christmas there, I'll celebrate my Christmas here, and we'll see each other sometime before the new year. Like, why we didn't? We had to be with one person or another or another. It's like, this is so much better. And you are able to talk to the people you love about the things that matter to them. And you don't have toxic people put in their 2 cents into whatever conversation you're having, whether it's negative or semi positive. It's just you and the people that you love around you. That's what I like about the fact that, I don't have to deal with extended family anymore. And I don't mean to insult anyone. I know that a lot of people love having those big, reunions and those big Christmas gatherings. And I don't. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That is, they shouldn't. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about my own experience, right, Miss Marlene? Not Miss Marlene's, not anybody else's, my own. And for me, after coming from a crazy, huge family, this that I'm doing now is the best of two worlds.
Yeah, and that's what me and Miss Nexie are talking about when we have the sip and chats, is that Miss Nexie shares her experiences and I share mine because you know, everybody has a different situation, but we want to talk about if something is toxic in your life, if people are toxic, if attitudes, mentalities, if people aren't treating you, are very abusive to you, taking advantage of you, and having the expectation that you have to do whatever it is for them, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's and we don't have to keep taking and then hide behind the label and say because we're family or because they're friends or because this is my husband or this is my wife because these are my kids. Anybody who is in our life that is not pouring into us positively, then they need to go. They
Yep.
either they are going to go willingly or you're going to block them and pull yourself away from them. And I have to say, Miss Nexie, when I started to pull myself away from people who didn't pour into me, people who didn't listen to me, people who weren't supportive, not only did my mental health get better, but also my physical health. And I had more money. And I was able to live my life without feeling that I had to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I could just wake up and do it. Hey, realist. Um,
Oh, hey, realist. Happy holidays.
That's the thing that I personally had to learn that I don't need anybody's permission. I don't need anybody's validation. And if I'm going through something with my mental health or I'm going through something traumatic, that I don't have to tell everybody why I'm taking a break or why I don't want to be around. I'm a grown woman, or if you're a man, you're a grown man. You don't have to tell everybody the reasons why you're pulling back, why you're making changes. You're grown, you're mature. You have to do what is benefiting you. And the thing about it is, Miss Nexie, is a lot of things in my life was not benefiting me, but I was
Mm-hmm.
doing out of feeling like I was, what do you call it? I felt obligated to do it.
Yeah, exactly, Miss Marlene. And again, because of the experiences that we have had, we are grown, right? But when you're younger, sometimes you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. Is what I tell a lot of young kids, young boys or girls, that I mentor sometimes, is that I tell them that, hey, right now it is complicated because you're still young. You don't know, you're not thinking the proper way yet, and you're probably not ready to say, I don't want to be around you anymore, right? I said, but there will be a time as you get older that it's you're gonna start thinking about you and what pleases you, what makes you happy. This is not the time, maybe this is not the place yet, but there will be a time in your life that you're going to get to the other side, that you're going to be able to choose what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, What makes you a better person? Who makes you a better person? And you're going to surround yourself by those type of people. Right now, because you're still young, you still have to deal with family around you, and you're not ready to kind of make those choices. You have to just understand that it's not always going to be like this, that one
Yeah.
day you're going to have a say in what goes on in your life, who stays in it and who goes. So don't get desperate. And I always tell him this because I remember I used to get very desperate, like not desperate, like anxious. I should say anxious when the holidays were starting or coming around. Once November 30th will hit, my heart just sank because I knew in a few more weeks we were gonna start getting ready for Christmas and around all these people, and I had to spend all my money on gifts, and I have to, spend the next 4 days after Christmas cleaning up because they made a mess in my house, and then New Year's comes and maybe they'll come back to it. So now I don't have to go through that. If I want to go somewhere, I say yes, I do. And if not, if I'm not feeling it, or it's gonna put my little one into an uncomfortable position, or you know what I mean, I say no, I can't because he doesn't want to, and I don't want him to go through that anxiety or discomfort for not being in his house. And I can say that now without fear, without anxiety, without thinking of, oh my God, what's going to happen? The repercussions from saying no to certain people, because we're grown and we can make those decisions of who is going to stay in our life, who is going to make a difference in our life, and whose opinion matter to us.
Yeah. And one thing that I learned, Miss Next, is that I make decisions. Part of the reason that we are not healing and we're not experiencing personal growth and development and success, and you're having a lot of stress and anxiety, is that you are allowing other people to control your life. and
Mm,
and that is not a good thing. You got to take your power back and say no. Whatever it is that you don't like, you can change it. That is something that I didn't. It's not that I didn't know that, but I didn't know how to, you know, adapt to that.
well, you,
I
well,
didn't.
you I think, Miss Marlene, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's not that you couldn't, is that you weren't given that choice. Because if you did anything for yourself, you were selfish. If you
Mhm.
didn't want to help somebody else, you're so mean, so petty. If you held a grudge, right, you're so petty. If you don't want to help, you're so mean and inconsiderate. And so you have all those things said to you. You didn't see yourself saying no. It's all about me now, until you started, I'm sure, working on yourself.
Yeah, and that's what it is right there, Miss Nexie. And that's why I wanted to say to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, if you have something, some unresolved issues, some anger, some, we always talk about if there's people who have been abusive to you, disrespectful, they don't regard your feelings, that's one of the things that it took me such a long time to get to the space where I could say, they don't respect me. And I used to be so stressed out about this, Miss Nexie. They don't respect me. They don't care. They always hurt my feelings. And then I remember when my therapist told me, then why do you keep going back? Why do you keep picking up the phone? Why do you keep giving them your money? Why? And that's the question that we should be asking ourselves. If we don't like something, or if we don't like someone, or the way that someone treats us, their bad behavior, then what are we doing to change it?
Exactly. And Miss Marlene, to add to what you're saying, nobody has the power to change what bothers you but yourself. Miss Marlene cannot do it. I cannot do it. Miss Marlene cannot change what bothers me, or cannot do anything about that. And I cannot do anything about what bothers me, Miss Marlene. We have to deal with it. We are the ones that have to make that decision, make that change, make that improvement in ourselves, because nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody can do that for you. Those kiddos that I mentor, I actually bought them. I told them, the holidays are coming. They were complaining, oh my God, we're gonna have all these people, and then me and my family have to clean. And I went back to the times when I was in that situation, in that position of everybody just, coming over and creating all this noise, unnecessary noises. I now learned, but I gave them a little journal. I went somewhere, I think it was the Dollar Tree. Somebody told me they have this, these little diaries, and they're really cute. So I went there and I bought them, and I gave everybody one, including the boys. Okay. And I told them, whatever bothers you through the holidays, please write it down. When we see each other again next year, we're going to go over everything, right, that you experience. I said also writing down what bothered you, whoever spoke to you harshly, whoever did this to you harshly, putting it in paper, pen and paper. It's so nice. It feels like you got it out of your system, because you're writing it, you're reading it, you're seeing that, it did bother you, and you can work at it better. You don't have to answer back. You don't have to do anything negative. Just whatever bothers you, just write it down, and we come back and talk about it. I didn't grow up, journaling. It wasn't something that was in my family. It's not a tradition we have back home. But when I came here and I started going therapy, my therapist did say that, you know, journal everything that you go through, whatever you want to talk to me about, all the experiences you can think of in the past that bother you, that hurt you, whatever, just put it down, you know, on paper, and we can, excuse me, talk about it. We can discuss them. We can do something about it. But I cannot reach in you and change whatever, or fix or help you fix whatever it's bothering you, whatever is stopping you from your growth, your potential growth, or for you to move on, which is exactly what I said before. Nobody can do that for you but you. In any way you have to do it in any way you can, any way that you please. It will take time, but you have to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Miss Nexty. I think a lot of times we don't realize how much power we have.
Mm,
Ladies and gentlemen, you have power. You're not powerless. You're not worthless. You are enough, capable, and deserving, and having people in your life show love back. Not just always you giving love, you giving support, you doing for everybody. And then when it comes to you, nobody does any checking, any calling, any thank you, any, you need support. It can't be that you pour out all of you. That's a recipe for the reason why you may have a breakdown, a mental health breakdown, or a physical breakdown because of unresolved issues, and us not setting those boundaries and say, no, now this is my time. Um, it took me a long time, Nexty, in my life to come to this space to say, I work hard, but I also deserve to have time just for me so that I can relax and laugh and have fun. It's unnatural to all you do is work and go home. But that's how I was raised to be, you know?
mhm. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And the thing that I remember with me growing up, and I used to hear from, the females around me, that had family and children and everything, and the husbands, whatever. And I used to hear them say, once you have your kids, it's all about them. You don't have a life. You shouldn't have a life. Everything should revolve around your kids. You are never just you again. You have to care for them for the rest of your life. You have to do everything for them. You have to make sure that they're happy. So forget about you. And that stucks in your head. Sometimes that gets stuck in your head. And you think of, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be this way because, that's stuck in your crazy head. And in order for you to get that out, again, you have to work on you because nobody can help you there. I had to work on me, Miss Arlene, to understand that if I don't want toxic, if I don't want anyone making me feel a certain type of way, if I don't want to go somewhere because I'm not feeling it, whatever, saying the no, I'm not going, I'm not doing it because I don't want to instead of excuses. I had to go through a lot for me to get there, but I had to put in the work. I had to voice to people, why I'm not inviting or why I'm not going to your house because you're too toxic. You have nothing, you bring nothing positive to me. Every time I'm around you, I get drained. My happy energy leaves me because of you. So I had to tell people, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. I love you, but I have to keep you at arm's length because being around you too often drains me because you have people like that in your life and they start even if you take a step, Miss Marlene, forward in your recovery, your healing journey, whatever. Sometimes these people can make you take two steps back
Yeah.
because of their negativity and their toxic
Yeah. And
ways.
they will make you doubt yourself, like, am I doing something wrong? Because what they do, they're masters of manipulation. They're masters of excuses and the blame game and doing all of these things. Everything is your fault and you did this. So that's the reason why therapy helped me so much, because it helped for me to come to this space of saying, this is what I can take ownership of. This is not my problem. That's their problem, their issues, their mental illness, their whatever. You focus on yourself and keep doing positive things for yourself, because if you always are doing for everybody, what is going to be left of you to go and do the things that you actually want to do, like your goals in life and your peace and having fun and laughter? Having toxic people in our lives will suck the life out of us.
Hmm.
I, I say that with my chest. That happened to me for so many years, having relationships with people who didn't love themselves, who were angry and manipulative or lazy, expected for you to do everything for them. And while they sat back and did nothing, and I felt like before, of course I'm drained. I'm carrying the lives of 10 to 15 people.
Hmm.
Health is in the toilet because I have every problems on my head while they're sitting back relaxed. And it's like, what are you doing?
Well,
No.
and during holidays, that's even more, right? It comes even more. You have more family around you that have that type of energy, negative and so sometimes mean, sometimes vicious and manipulative, like you said. Some people are like that, and during the holidays, it comes out even more because there's people around you that they are not friends with or they have had a fight with family members or whatever. And so their negativity, their ugly way of behaving comes out even more. It's more pronounced during the holidays. For me, Miss Marlene, I always tell people, the holidays is for us to be together with friends and family, with loved ones. And hear the word, people we love, loved ones, and people that love us. It's not to be with everybody, just family, whoever. No, with people that love you and you love because it's a time for giving, thanks to the birth of Jesus, if you're a religious person, but also to unify it as a family, to make stronger bonds, to make, I don't know, a difference in somebody's life, to make a difference in your own life, to make something beautiful out of a holiday by probably coming more together with the people you love. But for that, you need to get away from toxic people. You need to get away from the naysayers, because you're never going to achieve that if you continue to have toxic people around you. A holiday would just be another holiday, unsuccessful, whatever, who cares? And so you have to make sure that, in these times where everybody gets together, that, you fix whatever is broken, that you try to patch things up with those people that probably there was a misunderstanding with. Do it with love and stay away and push away people that are negative.
Mm. And that's the thing, Miss Nexie. That part, that's what takes courage
Hmm.
right there. That takes a lot of courage to say, your brother or sister or cousin or grandma, auntie or uncle or a person that has been your friend allegedly, right? That's not a friend, that's actually an enemy. And and having this conversation and preparing for this conversation, I really thought about that there's a lot of people in our lives that's really our enemies, that are really
Hmm.
us, that really hate us, but it's kind of like an undercover thing. And, I really started thinking about that. That's one of the reasons why people do the things that they do to us is because they don't like us or hate us, or because they don't want you to succeed, or they see that you are succeeding and they are going to try to do anything in their power to slow that down or stop it.
Hmm. There you go. Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Your progress is sometimes, they fear it, right? They fear your progress. They fear you taking care of your, mental health, of your well-being, because they know that once you start taking care of yourself and starts learning on certain things, they're going to be gone from your life. So sometimes they try to hinder that so that you don't get past them.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's very easy for us to get caught up in that. I'm not going to go into it too deep, but especially when it comes to romantic relationships, with that, Miss Nexie, we get in behind that thing of trying to make the person that you're with happy, that you spend all your time trying to make them happy, but they're not spending any time trying to make you happy. And, I don't know, but I know I was caught up in that for so long because I wanna make them happy because you really do, with every fiber of your being, love them. But
Hmm.
with somebody and all they want you to do for them, but when is the time where they're ever saying the same things for you? I want to make you happy. I want to make you smile. I want to bring peace in your life. How can I help to lift some of this heaviness from you? When it's always you trying to do that for them, but them not doing for you, that's when you need to wake your own self up and say, what are you doing?
Uh-huh. Yes, Ms. Arlene. And again, I'm referring a lot to the holidays because that's where we're at, right? We're a week away from Christmas. And it's when all these things come out, when you start evaluating your entire year, you start evaluating you as a person, the people around you, the type of work you're doing, you start evaluating everything about you. This is a time that happens and you set up new goals. So I remember when I was married that every Christmas was with my husband's family, my ex-husband's family, every Christmas. And a couple of times I said, "Hey, why don't we go spend Christmas with my family, right?" Well, they can come over. We're just going to celebrate here. I'm like, yeah, no, but I mean, let's go celebrate it, because, but the thing was, my mother in law, rest in peace now, her birthday was exactly on Christmas Day. And
Mm,
so I think we only went to my family 2 or 3 times in the 20 plus years we were together.
mm,
And but if you would have asked me then, oh, he loves me. We love each other. Everything is fine. Even when people will bring up, why don't you guys celebrate with your family? Like, why are you always here? Why doesn't he go to your family? Why is it like on birthdays, it's always a big deal to go there? You have to make all kinds of excuses and kind of like bribe him to go. Like, why doesn't he do the same thing you do for him for you? And I will get upset because I would say, you don't understand our marriage. You
mm,
don't understand him. He's special. So, going back to that, it never bothered me until I started working on me, and that's when I said, you want to go celebrate with family? By all means, you go ahead. I'm going to my family. That's when, everything was just shifting. I wasn't willing to do that anymore.
mm.
And I remember, enjoying time with my family, and then thinking about all the time that I miss with them because of that selfish person.
Mm.
So you
Yeah.
have to sometimes speak up for you. You have to, make sure that when you hear our conversation, we're not saying follow us. What we're saying is think about you for a change. Put your needs ahead of everybody else's because nobody is going to do that for you.
Yes, Miss Nessie. I can think about a time in my with my ex when it was a lot of stuff going on, Miss Nessie, in my life. You know, my dad had a end stage cancer. Um, my nephew was graduating high school. Uh, and I was in this serious relationship and all kinds of things. And it got to the point where it was like, well, either you choose them or you choose me.
Uh huh.
And
Yes, ma'am.
it was like, what? It was like, that's my father. That's my nephew. Has nothing to do with choosing. It's like a special occasion, like my nephew was graduating high school. It's like, don't you think about, oh, all the years that you were their auntie, they're gonna want their aunt there. It was like, no, we're together. You shouldn't want, it's foolishness. And
Mhm.
I'm glad for one of the first times in my life I chose me. I chose to do what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going. I was like, I'm gonna go see my sick father and I'm gonna go to my nephew's graduation. And then that's it.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I did because
And
that's the
after that, it gets easier, right?
yeah. I'm glad that I because later on the relationship didn't even work out. So it's like, good thing I chose that because I would have always lived with regret.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Miss Marlene. And, you know, um, I lost my dad 3 years ago. My dads, both of them, almost
Um,
4 years ago. And every Christmas, I I go back to my childhood, like the times that I spent Christmas with my dad, right? And the times that I didn't care where I was playing around the neighborhood. Exactly at 11:50, I would run back to my house, make sure that I was there exactly at 12 midnight to give my dad the Merry Christmas hug. I didn't care where I was at, party, just playing. It didn't matter. I didn't care. I would just run over just to give him a hug. And I've been thinking a lot about the many Christmases I didn't spend with him after I immigrated into this country, and the regret that I have for not making the time to go for Christmas to see my dad or to spend it with him. And you do feel regret. You do feel bad because there's nothing you can do now.
Yeah. I know exactly. I can't say I know exactly feel, but I know what that feels like when, you know, you prioritize somebody else that didn't even prioritize you.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. And a lot of times, and we talk among my siblings, my sisters, and they always tell me, don't worry about it. My dad knew that you had the kids, that it wasn't as easy as it was for us to just go from one town to the next and go visit dad. It wasn't as easy for you to do that. But still, I get back to that. It doesn't matter how far it could have been or must have been. I should have made more of an effort. And that's why sometimes when people, tell me things like, the family this, the family that, and I always tell them, make sure that those who love you and show you how much they do, make sure that you love, you go back and love them back. Make sure that you make time for them and show them how much you care, because one day you won't have them.
Mhm. That's so important, and I'm so glad that you said that, Miss Nexty, because you get so wrapped up into the doing phase that you forget about what about doing for me? What about my goals? What about my dreams? What about what I
Yep.
actually, yeah.
Yep.
So
Exactly. Exactly, Miss Marlene. And again, we're not telling anyone how to behave, how to think. We're just expressing, what our journey has been to be at the point where we're at today, which is, our mental health is wonderful. We work every day on that. Our surroundings are of the people that love us and that we love, that respect us, that give us their time with caring and love. So we're not saying this is the way you got to be. We're just saying it's a marvelous and amazing way to live.
yep, I agree, Miss Nexie. I feel like this has been a great conversation and I've enjoyed it. And I can't believe, Miss Nexie, do you know this is our 95th episode?
I quit. I'm quitting, Miss Marlene, on a 95th. I quit.
Right.
You won't let me, huh?
Let you, I'll hunt her down, guys.
Wow, our 95th?
Yeah.
My goodness.
So when we come back in the new year, it's going to be episode number 96 because we're not going to be here next week and the week after because of the holidays, but we're going to come back fresh. I think it's January the 8th or something. I think so.
Our next one, unless we decide to do like a New Year's special for all those that are home doing nothing. If not,
Good.
we'll see you guys in the 8th.
It all depends.
Yes, it
But
all depends.
so, Miss Nexie, us having these conversations, every time I think about, going to therapy and working on myself and self love and trauma healing, I have to say that it was all worth it to be at the space that I am today because now I have confidence. Now I can help to encourage and inspire others, and I can be a role model, you know? Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's all
And again, you don't get to this unless you do the work yourself, because nobody can do it for you. So, toxic people around you are stopping you or depriving you from enjoying sometimes, yourself alone in company, or um others around you. Or your growth, whatever it is they're hindering because of their toxicity. You have to make sure that you address that and you stay away from people like that, because nothing good comes from having them around, at least in my experience, right? which is what I did, Miss Marlene. I made sure that I got rid of all the toxicity. And, I'm not saying life is easy. Life is not easy. Living is very hard, right? For everyone, because we face problems every day. We face a lot of things that go around us. But living a life where you love every day, no matter what happens, and or doing what you love with no stress from toxic people, with no drama, unnecessary drama. Every day is easier to live that way than it is to live in chaos. So, whatever you have to do to get your mental health in check, back together, or healthy, do it. Start doing whatever it is that you have to do to get better, because again, nobody appreciates and nobody cares whether you fix yourself or not. So go on and just work on you. Make it, this next year, make it the best year you can, and take care of you before you can take care of everybody else around you.
Right. Well said, Miss Nexie. Well, Um, thank you all so much for your support. This channel is about trauma healing, and me and Miss Nexie, we do the sip and chat every Thursday about 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, I have been doing from my heart to yours on Sunday. So you guys can tune into any of those, and also check out previous playlists and videos. There's many topics um, for trauma healing or very important hard conversations. Also, deeper topics with my channel members, but of course, you have to be a channel member. Anything else, Miss Nexie?
Just, happy holidays to everyone that is here right now or on the replay. Have a safe and fruitful holiday. I hope you guys enjoy. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and may this new year be the best year for all of you and all of us here.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Nexie. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys in 2026.
Oh my God. Till next
Oh,
year.
bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Miss Marlene. Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, Miss Marlene, and Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.